And as he said, I'm running for Atlanta City Council District 5, which is literally right there, just across the street. So to give you a little bit about me, I actually grew up, as he said, my dad's pharmacy is just down the street. I come from a family of Muslim immigrants and refugees. I identify as a queer brown woman, proudly, queer brown Muslim woman. And my family escaped, my dad escaped here in 1982 from the revolution in Iran. My mom put him through school at Georgia State University, and he ended up opening that pharmacy in downtown Atlanta right here at the corner of Edgewood and Jesse Hill in the early 90s. I was his first employee. I grew up in this neighborhood. The first marches I ever did, I was 8 years old. My dad was a revolutionary, and he taught me, should we give it a minute? Hold on. I feel like I should. I started marching in the streets when I was 8 years old. I grew up hearing the stories of people that had their families sacrificed, had their families been separated from their families during revolution in Iran. I grew up hearing about how minorities fought for rights. My dad was a farmer. He protested in both revolutions in Iran. He grew up fighting poverty. He grew up fighting injustices, and it was something I was raised in. I grew up doing community building and social justice work in the city. I had everything from homeless outreach to fighting for women's rights to fighting against child poverty, and I didn't just do it here. I did it in 22 different countries abroad. I've fought for LGBTQIA rights. I've fought against the Muslim ban. I've fought Islamophobia all over the world, and I have fought with people who have been victims of sex trafficking, people who've been victims of domestic violence. Injustices go across the board, and the reason I decided to run for this office, yes, Trump being in office was terrible. I've dealt with Islamophobia and racism since I was a child. I went to school in Gwinnett County where I had teachers tell me every day that I was never going to amount to anything, constantly. I had people ask me questions about my Muslim faith, my parents' Muslim faith. I got asked questions along the lines of if my father was a terrorist. That was a regular occurrence. And to grow up in a community where you're being told every day that you're nothing, to come to a city like Atlanta, a city of others, a city that promotes individuality, was everything to me. It's been my home for a long time. I've been homeless in this city. I've been broke in this city. I've seen parts of this community that are not ones that we typically shine a light on. I decided to run because of the fact that, yes, I am a crossover of a lot of different minorities, being a brown Muslim queer woman from an Islamic, Iranian, Azeri family. It's like someone told me the other day they thought I was constructed in the lab as the ultimate anti-Trump. And that's something I'm very proud of. And I decided to run, and I did not just because of everything, all the injustices I saw growing up and everything that I saw my father deal with coming over here and all the marches that I was a part of locally, nationally, and internationally. When Trump started running for office, the things that were being discussed at that point, the blatant pride that people were taking in bigotry and in racism, the things that people were emboldened to do. I was told my whole life to be small, and I got tired of being small. I got tired of not being able to express my voice, my opinion, and I got tired of seeing a community that felt voiceless. And I decided to run because 5 members of my family who are green card holders from Iran came under threat of deportation under the first travel ban. And realizing that it all comes down to what happens on a local level. It all comes down here. If you want to affect better policy, if you want to have stronger voices on a local, national, and international level, it starts right here at home. It's easy to get distracted. It's easy to feel tired. It's easy to feel voiceless. It's easy to feel helpless. You know, we're living in a city right now where a lot of us are just trying to survive. And it's hard to have a voice in an environment when you're working just to put food on the table and have shelter and utilities that you can afford. But that's why you have to focus on local government. And when Chris and everyone came to me and told me about this march, you know, a lot of times we feel that there needs to be gatekeepers to have a voice. But what I applaud everyone here today doing is you did it yourself. You didn't wait for someone to do it for you. You put this together. You wanted to continue standing up against the injustices that we're seeing on a national level from this administration. And this is where voices need to start. So I applaud you for doing that today. Keep marching. Don't stop. Continue these conversations. We do not need to let things get terrible before they get better. We don't need to you don't need to repair a bridge after it's caught on fire and collapsed, okay? It's the exact same thing. Fight now. because complacency is not an option, because being comfortable is not an option. You want to know why the alt-right is so mad all the time? Because any advancement made by a minority, they see as a direct threat to their well-being. So they never stop. And we cannot either. Hate does not need to be our fuel, but the desire for equality and to have a voice can be. This community is my home. I will always fight for LGBTQIA rights, for brown and black rights, for minority rights across the board. And we need to be adding to the conversation. We need to see more diversity in our local government. And it's also a diversity of tactic. Yes, better legislation, but march all the time. Use your platforms, talk, organize, push for better people to be in office, speak out against voter intimidation, speak out against all of these things, because complacency and incumbency need to be challenged all the time. And that's why we run. That's why we lift up others to take that torch, and why we encourage other people to carry on forward. It's why I'm running. I want to represent this community, but I also want to represent movements like this, and I want to be an asset to this community. And I'm so proud to be able to be a part of this today.